In this video, we're going to show you how to replace your front pads and rotors located right behind your front wheels. I'm going to get remove our center cap here. Just going to pop in through this little notch right here. Get behind there and pop that off. I'm going to use a 21mm socket. I'm going to loosen and remove our lug nuts. Once we have our lug nuts loose, go ahead and grab the wheel, slide it off and set it aside. We're going to go ahead and remove our brake caliper here. We're going to use our 13mm socket, loosen and remove these two pivot bolts. Use our pry tool here. We want to go ahead and loosen this caliper. Just working that back and forth. Once we work that loose, we're going to use our hanging tool here to hook that. And we're going to support that off of our upper control arm. On the back side here, I want to go ahead and remove these brake pads. Now that we have our pads and our caliper removed, we want to now go ahead and remove our brake caliper bracket. We're going to do so by loosening and removing these two bolts right here. I'm going to use our 18mm socket and go ahead, loosen and remove these bolts here. Now, in order for us to get to this bolt here, we have to loosen and remove this 10mm bolt here, holding our flex line bracket here. We could use a wrench on there if we wanted to, but to speed things up, we can just go ahead and remove this here and then use our ratchet. Just going to throw that bolt back in there for now. You want to hold on to that caliper bracket here as we remove these pieces of hardware, as well as the brake rotor. They're both going to be loose once these bolts are both removed. Go ahead and grab that brake rotor and pull it off on the front. Now we want to go ahead and prepare our brake caliper bracket. Here, we want to go ahead and disassemble it. We're going to use our pry tool here and pop out our pad sliders here, or shims, and do this on both sides. So now we want to go ahead and remove our slide pins here. They should be moving freely. So you can twist that. I'm going to pull it out of the rubber boot. And this one here is frozen in our caliper bracket here. So what we're going to do, we're going to use our 18mm socket to go ahead and try and spin this pin here. Now what I want to do is try and pull this out. I'm actually cocking the socket off to the side to put some pressure on this pin and pulling the gun back, working this out like so. You can see there's an excessive amount of rust buildup on here. It tells us that there was water getting in here, causing some corrosion binding up inside here. We're going to use a bore brush here. We're going to put this on our drill, and we're going to go ahead and clean the inside of this unit here. Now you're going to continue to go ahead and clean out this port here until a lot of the rust, anything you can get out of there, is cleaned out, and flush it out with some rust penetrant. You can also use a solvent in there to clean that out as well. I'm going to go ahead and do the same for this side here. Even though this pin came out nice, we'll still want to go ahead and clean out that bore. Next, what we want to do is use our brush here. And we want to go ahead and clean the grooves and the tracks where our pad sliders go. Clean off any built-up rust flakes, anything like that. Now, if you do have heavy rust buildup on here, you can use a square edge file to go ahead and clean this and reform that. Get any of that rust out of there so you have a nice, smooth surface for those sliders to fit. Go ahead and repeat for the other side. Want to clean our slide pins here. Just going to spray these down with some solvent. Wipe these down. You can go and inspect them for any sort of damage, marks or scoring, anything like that. That one there is clean. This one here, we're going to go ahead and try and clean this up. If it is damaged beyond usability, we'll simply have to replace this pin. Now we're able to go ahead and clean up this pin on our Y wheel machine, give it a quick little sanding. Everything is good on this pin here, and it is usable. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to take a little bit of grease, put a little bit inside the boot, and then a little bit on the pin itself. Now you don't want to add too much, as this will basically hydro lock this pin area here, and it'll just push the pin back out. So I'm going to go ahead and work this in. Pop that on. The boot slips onto the pin. So that is good. Let's go ahead and do the other one. All right, our slide pins are all set. Now what I want to do is take a little bit of grease and we're going to put it where our pad sliders go. Now you don't want to cake it on there, just a thin coating. Take your slider here, line that up. Go ahead and push that down in place. Let's go ahead and repeat for the other side. And our caliper bracket is ready for installation. We're going to use our 10mm wrench here and we want to go ahead and loosen up our brake bleeder screw here. And the purpose of this here is once we go to compress in our pistons here, we're going to go ahead and push the fluid out through the brake bleeder screw here. Okay, that's loose. So now what we're going to do is going to compress our pistons into the caliper. We're going to gently squeeze this here. Now as we're pushing this in, you can see the fluid coming out here. And we're going to do this until the pistons are completely recessed in. Once these are in, we're going to go ahead and tighten our bleeder screw. Now with the pistons in, we're going to go ahead and tighten our bleeder screw. There we go. I'm going to give this a quick spray down here. Clean off that brake fluid. And go ahead and release our tool. You also want to make sure that the surface here on your pistons is clean for installation of our pads. It's good, and use your wire brush. We're going to clean the front side of our hub here. We want to get rid of any scaly rust. We want to make sure that when we put our brake rotor on, it's fitting nice and flat. Now that we have that clean, we're going to go ahead and put some anti-seize compound on the face of the hub here. This will help prevent the rotor from sticking to the hub. Before installing our brake rotor, we want to go ahead and we want to clean this. Now these are shipped inside of a bag and they're oil coated to protect the steel. We're going to use some solvent. Go ahead and give these a good spray and wipe them down. Not only are you going to do the front, don't forget the back. Once these are cleaned up, they're ready for installation. Go ahead and take your brake rotor, line that up, set that into place. Let's go ahead and take your caliper bracket. Let's go ahead and push our rotor back into place. Let's go ahead and get one of these bolts started here. What I like to do is go ahead and thread these bolts in as far as I can get them. And then we'll come on in and we'll snug those down. We can install our brake pads. Slide these into our sliders here. Go ahead and bring our caliper down into place. Slide that over. We can install our caliper bolts. Just go ahead and snug these down for now. Let's torque down our caliper to bracket bolts to 44 foot-pounds. And do the same for the top. Let's go ahead and torque our caliper bracket to knuckle bolts to 70 foot-pounds. And repeat the same for the top. Let's go ahead and install our upper flex hose bracket right here to the back side of the knuckle. Just snug that down. Go ahead and grab your wheel. Set that on. Let's go ahead and get our lug nuts all started by hand, and then we'll go ahead and snug those down. Let's go ahead and torque down our lug nuts to 110 foot-pounds. Now go ahead and put on your center cap. Just line that up. Pop that on, and you're all set.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.